When you consider attacking institutions, some thought that is exactly what Donald Trump was trying to do by naming Matt Gaetz in this role. Now that he is withdrawn as a member of Congress, will you vote still to release the Ethics Committee report into Matt Gaetz?
Well, I certainly think that we should understand what he has done. I don't think we've precluded that he might come up again for another nomination, or that Trump might try to bring him in some way, shape, or form to his inner circle. So I think we should understand better what we're dealing with. So I would certainly like to see that report. But it is somewhat breathtaking, all of these allegations against people that Trump is considering for high-level positions. But I think what I remain as concerned about is the sense that these are undermining the institutions. So we've heard reports that the administration wants to court-martial all the admirals and generals to create, I assume, some sort of loyal force to Trump, not to the Constitution. We hear that the proposed Secretary of Defense not only has some of these allegations out there, the sexual assault allegations, but also has said that he doesn't think women should serve in combat, which really, I think, presents a grave misunderstanding of how our forces fight right now. And even some of the details of how, as I've said before, how we clear houses with women in there, and we're not going to win the hearts and minds of the people that we really want to bring into the fold of democracy if we are going in ways that are very contrary to their cultures. And I guess all of this is largely the reason I'm running for governor, because we are going to need strong leaders in this country who are going to continue to protect our government, who are going to continue to promote our values and continue to protect all the things that we hold dear.
Well, we do want to get into your gubernatorial candidacy, Congresswoman, but if I could just go back to what you referenced, the Defense Secretary designate Pete Hegseth, who obviously is facing allegations surrounding sexual assault, but also has some very specific beliefs in regard to the role women should play in the military, reminding our audience here that you were a Navy helicopter pilot. Is it that disqualifies him in your mind from the job, or questions of character?
Well, I would say both. Certainly the questions of character. I think, again, I realize that there were no charges brought, but certainly I'd like to know more about the payment he made to the woman who had those allegations against him. So the character questions concern me very much, as do the sense that he has these very particular views. Look, if you sort of attacked women's service in the way he has, that would be really concerning to any commanding officer in the fleet right now. If you were, a member serving in our military and you espouse some of these views, you'd be pulled in for a conversation, because that would be contrary to unit morale and cohesion. We have women serving, and I can tell you, I graduated 30 years ago in the first class of women that were available for combatant ships and aircraft. And imagine 30 years of service. Imagine all that we have now built. We have a woman who's been a commanding officer of an aircraft carrier. The chief of naval operations, the highest person serving in uniform, is a woman right now. The person heading the Naval Academy, where we train the fleet, and many members of it, is a woman. And the brigade commander, the position that you get when you are one of the most high-performing midshipmen in the entire Naval Academy brigade, is a woman. So we've made all these strides because I think we have such a great fighting force with people from all over and all different backgrounds that are doing so well. And to think that you're going to have a Secretary of Defense undermine that service and undermine the people that want to serve their country. And I know what that looks like, because 30 years ago, we didn't have that cohesion. We were dealing with proceedings or Naval Institute articles saying that women can't fight by a former Secretary of Defense, James Webb. We were dealing with a chief of naval operations that said women would never serve on submarines in his lifetime. We were dealing with don't ask, don't tell. We have built so much, and it has continued to make us a strong, resilient force. And I would hate to see a Secretary of Defense that had as his agenda and goal tearing that apart.
Well, while we're talking about the Pentagon here, I want to just steer our attention to the rest of this lame duck session, Congresswoman, because there's a big question about government funding. As we lapse on December 20th, the idea of a continuing resolution deep into next year or potentially to September, as some of Donald Trump's supporters are suggesting to, quote unquote, clear the decks for him so he doesn't have to worry about the budget process in his first year. This has many defense hawks up in arms, saying that that's the equivalent of a budget cut for the Pentagon. How will you weigh in on that in one of your final acts in this Congress?
What kind of president can't handle a budget in his first year? I mean, why run for the office if you think that's beyond your capabilities? We have seen the least effective House of Representatives under this Republican majority in the history of this country. We still haven't passed the appropriations bills and the National Defense Authorization Act. Yes, it is horrible for how we move forward on a lot of the projects and programs in our military, and a huge cost to that because a lot of programs stall then, and to restart them is a huge tax on every American as we try to restart this and have to add more to the defense budget. It's just a really, really poor way to run a country, and certainly, again, if this president, if this administration doesn't feel as if they can handle governing, then why take the job?
Well, you're looking for a new job, Congresswoman. As we've mentioned, you're running for governor of New Jersey after we just saw your state in this election cycle in every county move a bit more to the right. And I'm wondering, given that dynamic and a crowded Democratic field already, why you think it is now that it's time to toss your hat into the ring?
So I think because what I've seen in my district was our ability to overperform the top of the ticket, the ability of mayors and council people who've served their districts and their towns and their municipalities really, really well to continue to perform well. In Morris County, which is generally the more red part of my district, we didn't lose any seats in the Democratic Party and actually were able to flip control in some towns. So I think when you really work incredibly hard with everyone and listen to people, bring people together around solutions, it's very powerful. That's why, yes, as I said in my opening video, it feels as if we're more divided than ever. And what's coming out of Washington, I think, is really toxic to bringing Americans together to solve some of the key issues that we have to solve. And we've been very successful in northern New Jersey, I think, in bringing a lot of people together around issues like flooding or car theft or prices and affordability or getting rid of the state and local tax deduction cap or funding the Gateway Tunnel. These are things that we care about, and just really good governance, while at the same time being the type of state that welcomes innovation and welcomes different voices that are going to bring us into the future.